The human and the alien girl meet. A small gesture sparks a storm. Liam walked slowly through the strange forest, holding his scanner in one hand. He was a human engineer, sent by the Galactic Council to fix a damaged trade beacon on planet Rivon. The forest was full of tall blue trees, glowing plants, and soft lights floating in the air like fireflies. It felt magical, but also a little scary. He had been walking for an hour when he heard a loud cracking sound. Crack! Liam turned his head and saw a piece of stone falling from a tall structure nearby. Below it, someone was standing, frozen in fear. "Watch out!" Liam shouted and ran forward. The girl didn't move. Without thinking, Liam jumped and pushed her out of the way. The stone hit the ground where she had been standing just seconds ago, sending dust into the air. They both rolled to the side. Liam landed on his back, coughing. When the dust cleared, he looked at the girl. She was unlike anyone he had ever seen. Her skin was a soft violet color, her eyes big and bright like stars. Her dark silver hair flowed down her shoulders. She wore a simple robe, and her hands were shaking. Liam sat up and reached out slowly, not wanting to scare her. "Are you okay?" he asked gently. The girl stared at him, eyes wide. She looked at his face, then at the hand he placed over his own heart. Liam smiled and said, "I'm just glad you're safe." He stood up and offered his hand to help her. She took it, hesitantly at first, but her touch was soft and warm. As he helped her stand, her cheeks turned a deeper shade of purple. "My name is Liam," he said kindly. The girl didn't speak. She just looked at him as if he had done something very important, something sacred. She stepped back slowly, her hands now folded tightly in front of her chest. Then, without another word, she turned and ran into the forest. Liam blinked. Well, that was weird. He shrugged and walked toward the broken structure to check the damage. He didn't know that behind the trees, the alien girl was running fast, not in fear, but in excitement. Her name was Soraya, and she thought her life had just changed forever. She burst into her village, breathing hard. The elders looked at her with concern, but Soraya smiled. Her eyes sparkled. "He chose me," she whispered. The elders gasped. "A human?" one asked. Soraya nodded. "He saved me, touched his heart, spoke the vow." There was silence, then joy. Cheers spread across the village. Her father, the head elder, raised his hands. "Prepare the bonding feast," he declared. "Our daughter has been chosen by a noble human." Meanwhile, Liam finished scanning the broken structure. He repaired a few wires and sent a message to his ship orbiting above. "Beacon's almost fixed," he said. "Might need another day or two." As he turned to leave, he heard soft footsteps behind him. A group of alien villagers walked out of the trees, Soraya among them. She was dressed differently now, wearing a long blue robe with golden patterns. Hello again," Liam said, a little nervous. One of the elders stepped forward. "Honored guest," he said. "Please join us for tonight's feast." Liam looked confused. "Feast? For what?" "To celebrate your bond with Soraya." Liam blinked. "My. What?" Soraya stepped forward, her hands behind her back. Her voice was soft but full of emotion. "I accept your vow." "Vow," Liam said slowly. The elder nodded. "To save someone and touch your heart while saying words of care. That is our people's oldest proposal ritual." Liam's mouth fell open. "Wait, you think I proposed?" Soraya smiled gently. "Did I misunderstand?" Liam rubbed the back of his neck. I was just being polite. Where I come from, that's not a proposal." The elder frowned. The villagers looked at each other in confusion. But Soraya's smile didn't fade. "Then your kindness was even more rare." Liam didn't know what to say. He had just stepped into something big, something he didn't understand yet. And deep inside, a part of him didn't want to walk away. "She believes he loves her. He doesn't know what to say. The sky above the alien village turned a soft golden pink, filled with floating lights that danced like tiny stars. Drums echoed softly in the distance, and sweet smells of roasted fruits and sizzling spices filled the air. Long tables were decorated with glowing crystals, and villagers dressed in their best robes stood in excited circles. The whole village was preparing for a celebration. And Liam, he was sitting under a tree, completely confused. "I just said I was glad she was safe," he mumbled to himself, watching the villagers rush by with flowers and plates. How did that turn into a wedding? He looked down at his clothes. Someone had given him a robe to wear, dark red with golden threads. He had tried to say no, but they insisted. They called him the Chosen and smiled like he was some kind of hero. But he didn't feel like a hero. He felt like someone trapped in a situation he didn't understand. Then he saw her. Soraya walked toward him slowly, her long silver hair shining in the evening light. She wore a delicate crown made of glowing leaves, and her robe was white and blue, soft like the sky after rain. Liam stood up quickly. She smiled at him, gently, like he was the only person in the world. "Hi," he said, nervously rubbing his neck. "Do you like the robe?" she asked softly. Liam looked down at it. "It's comfortable." Soraya took a deep breath and stepped closer. "Tonight is important to me, to my people, and to us." Liam's heart beat faster. He didn't want to hurt her. She was kind, beautiful, and brave. But this was a misunderstanding, a huge one. "Soraya," he said slowly, "I think there's been a mistake." Her eyes widened just a little. "Back when I helped you," he continued, "and said I was glad you were safe, that was just something we do. On Earth, we call it being polite." Soraya's smile faded slightly. "But you touched your heart. You said it with warmth. In my people's way. That means you choose me." Liam looked away, struggling to find the right words. "I didn't mean to choose anyone," he said. "I didn't even know." There was silence between them for a moment. The drums continued in the background, but to them, the world felt still. Soraya looked down at her hands. "So, you regret it?" Liam froze. "No," he said quickly. "That's not what I mean. I just didn't understand, and I don't want to hurt you." She looked up again, her eyes shimmering like liquid silver. "You are not hurting me. You are just unsure." She turned to walk away, then stopped and glanced back. "Sometimes," she whispered, "feelings come before understanding." Then she disappeared into the lights of the village. The feast began. Liam was seated at the head of a long table beside Soraya, who remained quiet but graceful. Villagers danced, laughed, and sang around them. Colorful creatures flew overhead, and glowing fruit was shared between families. But Liam couldn't enjoy it. He watched Soraya out of the corner of his eye. She smiled politely at others, but barely looked at him. It hurt more than he expected. He didn't know why. After all, they barely knew each other. But there was something about her, a quiet strength. When she spoke, it felt like music. When she looked at him, it felt like he mattered. Maybe she wasn't wrong to believe something special had started between them. Liam stood up and walked away from the table. He wandered toward the forest's edge, hoping for silence. But Soraya followed. "You left," she said gently. Liam turned. "I needed air and space to think." She stepped closer. "May I speak without offense?" He nodded. "You are a stranger to this world," she said, "and yet you risked your life for me. Not for reward, not for power, but because you care. That doesn't mean I—" "No," she interrupted kindly. "You do not need to explain your world's customs. I only ask one question." Liam waited. Soraya took a deep breath. "If we were both from the same world, and if my people didn't have this old belief about touching hearts, would you still look at me the same way?" Liam didn't speak for a moment. Then quietly, he said, "Yes, I think I would." Soraya smiled, but it was a sad smile. Then maybe we are not so different. Only the language of our hearts needs time. She turned to go, then paused. You may leave after the beacon is fixed, but while you are here, will you let us hope? Liam nodded slowly. Yes, I'll stay, and I'll try to understand. As she walked away under the star-filled sky, Liam realized something strange. He didn't want to leave. Not yet. Not while she still looked at him like that. She believes he loves her. He doesn't know what to say, continued. The night air grew cooler as the twin moons of Rivon rose above the glowing trees. The village lights dimmed, and the celebration ended. Laughter faded into soft murmurs. Families returned to their homes. But one heart was still awake, Liam's. He couldn't sleep. He lay on a soft bed inside the guest hut, staring at the ceiling made of glowing vines. The robe they gave him still rested on a wooden chair nearby. Outside, the wind whispered through the leaves, but inside his mind, the noise was louder. Soraya's words played again and again. Sometimes feelings come before understanding. Will you let us hope? Liam sat up slowly and stepped outside. The village was quiet now. Glowing stones lined the paths, casting soft blue light. He followed the trail past the sleeping homes and down toward the edge of the river. And that's where he saw her. Soraya stood alone, her feet in the water, her long silver hair flowing behind her. She didn't turn around, but somehow she already knew he was there. You couldn't sleep either, she said softly. No, Liam replied. He stepped beside her. The water was cool, the river calm. Above them, stars danced in colors not seen on earth. I'm sorry, Liam said, about all of this. Soraya finally turned to face him. Why sorry? Because I didn't understand. And I still don't. I thought I was just being kind. But I hurt you instead. Soraya's voice was quiet. You didn't hurt me. You woke something inside me. Liam blinked. What do you mean? Before you, she said, I was not chosen. Many look at me with respect because of my father. But no one saw me. Not really. You did. Liam's chest tightened a little. I didn't mean to. I know, she interrupted gently. And yet, it still means something. They stood in silence for a while. The river flowed past their feet. A creature made of light swam beneath the surface and disappeared into the shadows. Liam took a deep breath. You asked me something yesterday, he said. You asked if I would still look at you the same, if we were from the same world. Soraya waited. I said yes, Liam continued. And now I want to say more. I've traveled to many planets. Fixed machines, walked through storms, slept in cold ships. But this is the first time. I don't want to leave. Soraya turned her head slightly. Not because of duty, he said, but because of you. Soraya smiled, soft and slow. So now I'm wondering, Liam added, maybe what you call a vow wasn't so wrong after all. Her eyes widened gently. Her heart skipped. But before she could answer, something behind them rustled. They turned quickly. A tall figure stepped from the shadows. He was strong, armored, and his eyes were sharp like broken glass. Soraya, the figure said, his voice deep. So this is the human. Kale, Soraya said, her voice colder now. Liam stood a little taller. Kale walked forward with slow, heavy steps. You left our world to explore stars, and now you return to bond with an outsider. He saved my life, Soraya said, and now you give him yours. Liam frowned. Who are you? Kale's eyes locked with his. I am Soraya's former suitor. I asked for her bond once. She refused me. I had the right, Soraya said. Kale nodded. And I have the right to challenge him. Liam's heart sank. Challenge me. For what? Your claim on her, Kale said. Your vow. If you are to be her mate, you must defend your right in the circle of trial. Liam stepped back. Wait. This is a mistake. But Soraya stepped in between them. "He didn't ask for this," she said firmly. "Neither did I," Cale replied. "But I was cast aside, and now he takes what should have been mine." "You never saw me," she whispered. "You saw only a prize." Cale stared at her, then turned to leave. "Prepare yourself, human. At first light, we meet in the trial circle." That night, Liam sat in the guest hut again. He stared at the stars through the open ceiling. A challenge. A trial. All because of a simple gesture. And yet now, it didn't feel so simple anymore. He wasn't just protecting a misunderstanding. He was protecting something real. Early morning. The sun had not yet risen, but the village gathered near the sacred circle, a round platform made of old stones and firelight. Elders stood around the edges. Drummers waited in silence. Cale stood on one side, tall and armored. Liam stepped forward on the other, wearing only the robe. No weapons. An elder raised his hand. "The trial of bond begins. You may choose weapon or wisdom, strength or spirit." Cale stepped forward. "I choose combat." Liam gulped, then looked at Soraya standing among the crowd. She nodded, her eyes full of silent strength. Liam raised his hand. "I choose both." The crowd gasped. The elder smiled, then let the trial begin. Trial of honor. Love vs. strength. The sacred circle was silent. Morning light crept across the stone ground as the village gathered around the trial platform. Birds with crystal wings sang softly in the distance. Floating leaves sparkled in the air, glowing with colors from the rising sun. In the middle of the circle, two men faced each other. Cale stood tall, armored in dark scales. A long spear rested in his hands. He moved like a warrior trained for battle. Liam stood quietly, dressed in a simple robe. No armor, no weapon, just courage in his chest and confusion in his heart. This was not the fight he wanted, but he was here for a reason, and her name was Soraya. "Combatants, step forward," the elder called. Liam took a deep breath and walked into the center of the circle. His feet touched the ancient stone. His eyes met Cal's. "This is not just a fight," the elder said, his voice echoing around them. "It is a trial of spirit, a test of truth. You may win with strength, or you may win with wisdom." The elder pointed to a large ring of smooth stones around the circle. The first challenge. The test of focus. Suddenly, 4 young villagers entered the circle. They each held a bowl filled with shining sand. They stood in the corners, then threw the sand into the air. It shimmered, floating like golden dust. "Follow the pattern," the elder said. "Use your breath and steps to guide the sand." Liam blinked. "Wait, what?" Cale smirked. He stepped forward and began a slow, steady motion, breathing in and out, stepping lightly. The sand responded, floating into shapes, circles, spirals. Liam watched, then tried to copy him. His steps were awkward at first, his breathing uneven. But then he closed his eyes and remembered how he used to fix machines back home. Slow, calm, focused. He matched the rhythm. Soon, his sand floated like wings in the air. The crowd clapped. Even the elder nodded. Cale narrowed his eyes. "Second challenge," the elder said. "The test of words." A small girl came forward. She looked about 8 years old, with soft purple skin and wide, curious eyes. She held a scroll in her hands and stood between the 2 men. "Each of you," the elder explained, "must answer her question. From your heart, not your head." The girl looked at Cale. "Why do you want Soraya to be your mate?" Cale stood tall. "Because I am strong. I can protect her. I can give her power and place. No one would dare harm her if she stands beside me." The girl nodded, then turned to Liam. "And you?" she asked softly. Liam knelt down so he was eye level with her. He didn't think. He just spoke. "Because when she speaks, I want to listen. When she cries, I want to hold her. When she smiles, the stars feel closer. I don't want to own her. I just want to walk beside her. The little girl blinked, then smiled. The crowd whispered among themselves. Soraya stood far in the back. Her hands were trembling. Final challenge, the elder said. The test of choice. A new figure stepped into the circle. A wild beast, chained and growling. Its eyes were bright red, its fur black like smoke. It was angry, afraid. The elder looked at both men. The creature is from the mountain caves. It has lost its way. It fears everything. You must approach, either calm it or destroy it. Kale stepped forward, lifting his spear. The crowd held their breath. The beast growled, ready to leap. Kale shouted, raising his weapon. But before he struck, Liam ran between them. Stop! The crowd gasped. Liam raised his hand slowly, showing his empty palms. The beast growled again, stepping back. Liam crouched low. Easy, he whispered. You're not alone. He removed the sash from his robe and tossed it aside, showing he had no threat. The beast stared at him, confused. Its ears twitched. Liam kept speaking softly. I know you're scared. I was too when I came here, but they showed me kindness, and I want to show you the same. He took one small step forward. The beast blinked, then lowered its head. Liam reached out and touched it gently. The chains fell off. The beast walked away calmly. Kale stood frozen, spear still in hand. The elder raised both arms. The trial is complete. The crowd cheered. Elders smiled. Drums echoed again, but now it was not celebration for a feast. It was respect for a decision. Soraya walked into the circle, her robe shining like the river at dawn. She stood before both men. Kale lowered his eyes. He said nothing and left the circle in silence. Liam looked at Soraya. Did I do the right thing? He asked. She nodded slowly. You didn't fight to win. You stood to protect, even the scared, even your rival. Liam looked down. I still don't know everything about your people. I still don't understand every meaning. But I meant what I said. I want to stay. With you. Soraya stepped closer. And this time, she placed her hand over his heart. Then now, she whispered, you understand enough. Betrayal in the shadows. Someone wants him gone. The stars above the village of Rivon were calm, but on the ground, something darker moved beneath the peace. After the trial, Liam had become a name whispered with pride. Villagers smiled when he passed. Children followed him with curious eyes. The elders nodded in respect. He had earned something rare among alien people, trust. But not everyone was happy. In a quiet corner of the village, inside a shadowed hut, 3 figures met in secret. Their faces were hidden under dark hoods, their voices low. The outsider is dangerous, one whispered. He changes her. He changes everything. If he stays, said another, our customs will break. She may lead us to ruin. Then let the stars witness nothing, said the third. Tonight, he will sleep and not wake. Meanwhile, Liam was sitting with Soraya near the quiet river. Soft music played in the distance, and fireflies blinked around them. Soraya's feet touched the water, her fingers brushing the surface gently. Liam sat beside her, watching her face, not the stars. What are you thinking? He asked. She smiled a little. I'm thinking. I never thought this would happen. Me neither, Liam said. Honestly, I came here just to fix a beacon. And now? Liam paused, then answered, now. I don't want to fix anything. I just want to stay beside you. She looked at him, eyes glowing gently. Your words are strange sometimes, Liam, but your heart speaks clearly. They stayed there until the night deepened. When the air grew cold, Soraya walked him back to his guest hut. Before leaving, she touched his hand. Tomorrow, you will meet my father. The head elder. Liam asked, She nodded. He wants to know the one who stole my heart. Liam smiled. I didn't steal it. I just borrowed it. Soraya laughed, soft and warm. Then don't forget to return it if you ever leave. I won't, Liam whispered. He watched her walk away, then stepped into his hut. Inside, a meal waited for him. Hot broth, soft bread, and sweet fruit. Liam sat down, too hungry to think. He took a bite of the bread and a sip of the broth. It tasted fine at first. Warm, calming. But something was off. After a few minutes, Liam's vision blurred. His heart beat slower. The room began to spin. He tried to stand, but his legs gave out. He collapsed onto the floor. Miles away, Soraya was sitting with her father. The old man had wise eyes, soft but sharp. He poured tea into 2 crystal cups. He is kind, her father said. But is kindness enough? He has strength, Soraya replied, not just in his arms, but in his heart. The elder nodded slowly. And what will happen when the stars turn cold? When duty calls him back to the sky? I don't know, she whispered. But I know this, he is honest, and he did not walk away when he could have. The elder looked into her eyes. Then he is braver than most. Suddenly, a young villager rushed in, out of breath. Soraya. The outsider. He collapsed. Soraya dropped her tea. The cup shattered. By the time she reached the guest hut, Liam was unconscious. His skin was pale, his breath shallow. She dropped to her knees beside him. Liam, wake up. But he didn't move. The healers came. They checked him, smelled the broth, and looked at each other with grim faces. Poison, one whispered. Delivered in the food, another said. Soraya's hands trembled. Her heart pounded. Save him, she said. Use the red bloom from the eastern cliff. Too late, the healer said. His body is too weak. He is not one of us. Then take mine, Soraya said. Everyone froze. What? The healer gasped. Take from me my life thread. Mix it with the red bloom. Give it to him. Soraya, that is forbidden, one of the elders said. If you share your life force with him, your own heart may weaken. Then let it, she said. I would rather be weak with him than strong without him. The ritual was quiet and painful. Soraya sat beside Liam, her hand touching his chest. The healer placed the red bloom between them and whispered ancient words. A soft light formed between them, gold and blue. It floated like a mist, then entered Liam's chest. He gasped. His body jerked. Then he lay still again. But this time, his breathing returned. Slow, but steady. Soraya leaned forward and whispered, "Come back to me." Hours later, Liam opened his eyes. His vision was blurry at first, but the first thing he saw was her. Soraya, curled beside him, asleep. Her skin a little pale, her hand still holding his. What happened? He asked, voice dry. You were poisoned, a healer said softly. But she brought you back. Liam tried to sit up. She? What? She gave part of her life to save yours. Liam looked at Soraya in shock. Why would she do that? The healer smiled sadly. Because to her, love is not just a word. It's a vow. The bond is tested and sealed. Liam sat quietly beneath the shade of the crystal leaf tree. A blanket covered his legs, and a warm drink rested beside him. The sky above was soft with drifting clouds. Birds sang in the distance, but the village felt strangely silent. He had been awake for 2 days now. Alive, because of her. But the truth still burned inside him like fire. Someone had tried to kill him. And even worse, Soraya had nearly died to save him. She had not spoken much since he woke. She smiled gently, brought him food, stayed beside him every night. But her words were few. And her eyes were tired. Liam hated that look. He didn't want her to suffer because of him. That morning, he stood for the first time in days. His legs were weak, but his mind was strong. He walked slowly to the center of the village. Elders and villagers stopped what they were doing. Some were surprised. Some looked guilty. Others avoided his eyes. Liam stood tall. "I want to speak with the council." They gathered. The head elder, Soraya's father, stepped forward. His face was calm but filled with sorrow. "We heard your request," the elder said, "and we agree. You deserve answers." Liam looked at the crowd. "Someone poisoned me. Someone wanted me gone. And I want to know why." No one answered. Then an old woman stepped forward. "Not all of us welcomed you," she said. "Some feared change, feared what you and Soraya would bring. They believed your love would break our laws, so they acted in secret." Liam nodded. "I don't want revenge. I just want to know. Does everyone here still see me as an outsider?" A long pause. Then Soraya stepped into the circle. She looked pale, but strong. "I don't," she said clearly. "And my heart speaks louder than fear." She walked to Liam's side. "Our bond was born by accident," she said, "but it survived through choice, through trial, through danger. I gave him part of my life, not because he is human, but because he is mine." The crowd murmured. Then the head elder raised his hands. Silence. He looked at Liam, then at his daughter. "I have watched this bond grow. I doubted it, feared it. But today, I accept it." The elder stepped forward and placed his staff on the ground. "If he is to be one of us," he said, "then let the village witness the seal." The seal of bonding was an ancient ritual, simple, but powerful. It was not a marriage in human words. It was deeper. It was a choice to share spirit, purpose, and path. Soraya and Liam stood beneath the unity arc, a natural tree formation bent in a perfect circle. Villagers gathered around, each holding a glowing stone. The elder stood between them. "Do you, Liam of Earth, accept this bond, not out of pressure, but out of choice?" Liam looked at Soraya. "I do." "Do you, Soraya of Rivon, accept this bond, not out of tradition, but out of truth?" Soraya smiled. "I do." The elder placed both their hands together. A soft light wrapped around their fingers like a ribbon of stars. "Then let this bond be known," the elder said, "not just to us, but to the sky." The villagers raised their stones, and the light rose into the air like a wave. For a moment, Liam felt something warm move through him, like a spark inside his heart. Soraya looked up at him, her eyes full of peace. "You're stuck with me now," she whispered. Liam laughed softly. "Then I hope we get stuck for a very long time." Later that night, as the stars returned, Liam and Soraya sat by the river once more. No speeches, no music, just quiet. Liam looked at the water. "I was afraid at first." "So was I," she replied. "I didn't understand your world, your ways, your meanings. And I didn't understand yours," she said. "But somehow, our hearts spoke anyway." Liam turned to her. "Why did you really save me?" Soraya paused, then said, "Because when you fell, my world felt cold, like the river without light." She placed her hand over his. "I didn't want to live in that cold." Liam leaned closer. "You gave me your life. Now let me give you mine." She smiled. "Then we are even." "No," Liam said. "Now we begin." They leaned in gently, foreheads touching. No crowd, no ceremony. Just two souls from different stars, now walking the same path. But far beyond the village, across the glowing woods and over the dark hills, something stirred. A tall ship hovered in silence, hidden in the clouds. Cloaked, unseen. Inside, a group of strangers studied a screen. On it, Liam and Soraya held hands beneath the unity arch. A voice from the shadows said, So, the human has bonded with her. Another voice replied. Then we are too late to stop it quietly. A long pause. Prepare the strike. If they will not listen, we will make them. Their love is challenged by fire, but not even war can break their vow. The sky above Rivon turned red. It started with a hum, soft at first, like the sound of a storm waiting to be born. Then came the light, slicing through the clouds like silver claws. The people of the village looked up in fear. A warship, black, massive, and cruel, hovered above them. The elders called for calm. The children were rushed into homes. Warriors picked up spears and stood at the ready. But none of them had seen machines like this before. They were not ready for what was coming. And in the center of it all stood Liam and Soraya. They had just returned from the forest path, smiling, holding hands, when the sky changed color. Soraya froze. That symbol on the ship, it's from the High Stars Council. But they abandoned us years ago. Liam's jaw tightened. That's not a council ship. That's a private hunter class. How do you know? She asked. Liam looked at her with a cold fire in his eyes. Because I'd flown one. A voice echoed from the ship. It boomed through the village like thunder. This is Captain Drath of the Black Veil. Surrender the human. His bond with the alien female violates Article 7 of the Interspecies Purity Code. Failure to comply will be seen as rebellion. Silence. Then gasps. Liam stepped forward. They want me. Soraya grabbed his arm. You are not going. If I don't, he said, they'll burn your village. We'll fight them, she said. They have weapons that bend metal and silence light, Liam said. You've seen them. No. I have, he said. The elder stepped forward. We do not surrender our own. He is one of us. Liam shook his head. Elder, please, I won't let you die for me. We will not die, the elder said, but we will stand. Soraya turned to Liam. They may take many things, Liam, but they cannot take what we gave each other. They'll try, he said. Then let them try, she replied. Above, the warship opened. Long cables fell from the sky. Armored soldiers slid down like shadows, 10 of them, all in black, with glowing helmets and stun rifles. The villagers backed away. Liam stepped into the center. The lead soldier spoke. Step forward, human. You violated cross-species regulation. Liam did not move. Soraya stepped beside him. He is bonded under Rivon law, she said. Rivon is not recognized by our court, the soldier replied. Then your court is blind, she snapped. Suddenly, the soldier raised his weapon. But Liam moved first. He reached under his robe, pulling a small device, his emergency beacon. He pressed it. A blue light burst around him, pushing the soldiers back. He grabbed Soraya's hand. Run. They ran through the trees, dodging blasts of light. Roots glowed beneath their feet. Birds flew away in panic. Behind them, soldiers chased, shouting, firing. A bolt hit the tree beside them. Wood exploded in sparks. Keep going, Liam shouted. Soraya led him through a secret path. She knew the forest better than anyone. After what felt like forever, they reached the high ridge. A cave opened before them. Hidden, ancient. They slid inside. Darkness, silence, only their breath. Soraya leaned against the stone wall, gasping. We can't run forever, she said. Liam looked up. We won't have to. He pointed to the night sky. 3 stars had changed position. What does that mean? She asked. Liam smiled weakly. Help is coming. Back at the village, the elders stood strong. The soldiers searched but could not find the bondmates. One of the officers contacted the ship. They escaped into the forest. The human activated a distress code, likely reached allies. The captain growled, "Destroy the village. Leave nothing." But just as the cannons charged, another ship appeared. Sleek, fast, human-made, and powerful. It was a rescue craft. The black veil fired, but the rescue ship returned fire with precision. Light and sound crashed in the sky. Villagers cheered as the enemy ship was pushed back. Inside the cave, Liam's communicator buzzed. "Liam, this is Commander Hale. We received your code. We're here to extract." "Send a landing pod to the ridge," Liam replied. He looked at Soraya. "They'll take us to safety." "Will they let me come?" she asked softly. Liam paused. "Not easily, but I'll fight them too, if I must." She touched his cheek. "I'd follow you anywhere." The pod landed with a quiet hum. Soldiers in white armor stepped out, waving them in. "Liam, who's this?" the lead officer asked. "My bonded partner," Liam said clearly. "You touch her, you go through me." The officer blinked. "Copy that." They boarded. As the pod lifted, Soraya looked out the window. Her village was safe. Her people cheered. And her heart was full. Weeks later, a quiet garden on a human colony moon. Liam and Soraya walked together. No more hiding. No more fear. The Galactic Court had seen their case. The Purity Code was under fire. Protests rose across systems. Change was coming. But Liam didn't care about politics. He only cared that she was still beside him. They sat under a small tree, its leaves pink and glowing. "You once said you just meant to be polite," Soraya said with a teasing smile. Liam chuckled. "Yeah, funny how one gesture became a lifetime." She leaned on his shoulder. "Sometimes a heart understands before the mind does." "And sometimes," Liam whispered, "a mistake becomes the best thing you ever did." And so, the human and the alien girl walked forward, no longer strangers, no longer afraid. Not even war could break the vow they never meant to make, but now would never break.